happening, guys? It's Bharat for Igyaan.in, and today we're going to be taking a look at the iPhone 5 versus the HTC One X Plus. Before we get into any detail, let's talk about price. The iPhone 5 is available for 45,500 rupees for the 16GB variant, whereas the One X Plus is available only in the 64GB variant for a price of 39,900 rupees. So for 40,000 rupees you get a 64GB capacity, whereas for 45,500 rupees you get a 16GB capacity. The price difference between the 64GB iPhone 5 and the 64GB HTC One X Plus is about 20,000 rupees, because you can get the 64GB iPhone 5 for about 59,900 rupees, or actually 59,500 rupees. Let's talk about the exterior of both these devices, and we'll go ahead and look at everything else. So let's talk about the front over here. On the front of the HTC One X Plus, you have a 1.6 megapixel 720p capability camera, which is a front-facing camera, so you can shoot 720p HD video. On the iPhone 5, you have a 1.2 megapixel camera, which is also capable of 720p front-facing video. Let's talk about the displays. On the HTC One X Plus, we have a 4.7-inch 720 by 1280 pixels. So we have 720 pixels like this, 1280 pixels like this. Gives it a total pixel per inch of about 312. On the iPhone 5, we have a 4-inch 640 by 1136 pixel display, which gives it a retina display of 326 pixels per inch. If we talk about the type of display, we have a Super LCD2 display over here with 16 million colors. On this we have an IPS TFT LCD or LED backlit display, which is also 16 million colors. You have Corning Gorilla Glass 2 on this, and you have Corning Gorilla Glass along with oleophobic coating on the iPhone 5. If you look at just the bottom, we have the 3 touch capacitive buttons for Android on the One X Plus, whereas we have the standard iPhone or iDevice home button, which brings us back to the home screen. Now the iPhone 5 has all the ports shifted to the bottom over here, so you have the 3.5mm headphone jack, the microphone, the lightning connector, and the speakerphone at the bottom. If you look at the HTC One X Plus, you will see just the microphone at the bottom of the device. On the right hand side, you have the volume rockers, whereas on the right hand side of the iPhone 5, you have the nano SIM card slot. If you look at the top, both of them have the power lock and unlock button, but the HTC One X also has the micro SIM card slot located on the top back. You also have the 3.5mm headphone jack. You also have a noise cancelling microphone, which is over here. And if we look at the left, we have the micro USB port on the One X Plus. On the iPhone 5, we have the mute switch and the volume rockers. If you look at the back of both these devices, both of them come with 8 megapixel cameras. In both you can capture simultaneous full HD video, which is 1080p video, along with pictures while capturing video. You also have LED light or LED flash in both of these devices. The iPhone 5 also has a noise cancelling microphone, which works exceptionally well, which is also the primary microphone for capturing audio while recording video. On the iPhone 5, you also have a front-facing microphone that does noise cancellation as well. So a total of 3 microphones for noise cancellation on the iPhone 5, whereas just 2 on the One X Plus. If you look at the bottom over here, you'll see the Beats Audio logo and the speakerphone grill on the One X Plus. Now this grill is water resistant and dust resistant. The back on the One X Plus is a solid polycarbonate shell, which is really tough. On the iPhone 5, we have a solid aluminum back panel, which is also very tough, but since its metal is easily bendable, or you can get dents or aberrations or scratches on it slightly easier when compared to the One X Plus. You also have 2 glass bits on the back, which will shatter if the phone falls flat on the back. So you have glass bits on the back as well as on the front, but not as much as we had on the iPhone 4S. If you talk about the hardware bits on the inside, on the iPhone 5, like I said earlier, we have an Apple A6 processor. We have dual core 1.2 GHz on the CPU clock. And we have a PowerVR SGX 543 MP3 triple core graphics. When we talk about RAM, we have 1 GB of RAM and 3 sizes of storage capacity, 16, 32 and 64. On the One X Plus, we have a NVIDIA Tegra 3 AP37 chipset with a quad-core 1.7 GHz processor. We have the ULP GeForce 2 GPU. When you talk about RAM, we have the same 1 GB of RAM. and two storage capacities of 32 and 64 gigabyte, but the 64 gigabyte version is available in India. We don't have the 32 gigabyte version. So just by looking at the numbers, just by looking at the hardware capabilities, one would assume that the hardware on the One X Plus is superior to the hardware on the iPhone 5. Well, it comes to the fact that the hardware is based on the processor which is running on these devices. So it really doesn't matter if you have 10 cores or 12 cores or even 4 cores. It doesn't really matter till the point where both these devices or the software is in harmony with the hardware. So if Android can exploit the hardware completely, this device will be capable. Until then, this device will not be capable. Similarly, if iOS can completely exploit the hardware that is available, this device will be capable, otherwise it will not be capable. So let's start and take a look at the interface. If you take a quick look at the devices, you'll see that the screen on the One X Plus is definitely much larger and gives you a lot more real estate viewability on the screen. If we talk about the lock screen, you have your date and time information over here, and you have 4 shortcuts with which you can quickly open up applications. Now the lock screen is really customizable on the HTC One X Plus. You can get your weather, stock information, messages from your friends, social feeds. Everything can be had in the lock screen. So really customizable. If you have any missed calls or notification, they also show up in the lock screen. So in terms of that, really customizable. You can also quickly jump to the camera from the lock screen of the One X Plus. If we talk about the iPhone 5, you get your date and time information over here. You get a customizable wallpaper in the background for the lock screen, and that's about it. For unlocking, you can just slide to unlock, you can slide to answer calls, etc. And you can also quickly jump to the camera from here. So that's the only available shortcut on the iPhone 5. For the lock screen, that's all that you can access. You get your battery life on the top along with the status bar, so your connectivity features also show up on the top, and that's about it. If you are listening to music, you can double click on the home button to get music controls on the screen, so you can quickly play and pause your music from here. Similarly, if you're playing a song on the One X Plus, you get music controls right on the lock screen. Let's talk about operating system on both these devices. If we quickly look at dialers first. Okay, so if you look at dialers on both these devices, you will see you have nice and large dialer buttons, and you also have a quick list of things that you can do. So you can jump to your contacts on both of them. So contacts on the iPhone 5 and people on the HTC One X Plus. Similarly, you can go into your recent calls and favorites, and you can create groups for favorites and call history, which is your recent calls on the One X Plus. If you talk about messaging on this device, if you quickly compose a message, you will see a nice keyboard. An iPhone 5 keyboard is really nice, and I'm quite used to the iPhone 5 keyboard, and it usually takes me a long time to get adjusted to any other keyboard, but the HTC One X keyboard is a phenomenal keyboard, and it's really easy to use as well. So on the iPhone 5 keyboard, you have lots of options. You can install lots of keyboard languages, which makes it really cool. So for example, if you start using the keyboard, it's a really easy to use keyboard, and you also have autocorrect, as you saw there. You can also change the language. So now I have Hindi, which is inbuilt into my keyboard, which is absolutely brilliant. Most of the devices don't come with that option even today. You can also get emoticons, lots and lots of emoticons called emoji on the iPhone 5 directly in your keyboard, so that's brilliant as well. So in terms of keyboard capabilities, the iPhone 5 has one of the best keyboards yet. If we talk about the HTC One X, they've also done a great job with the keyboard, and I'll show you that just now. So over here you have this nice simple QWERTY layout keyboard, but you can also type. You can also get haptic feedback and sound if you enable that in the settings panel. But the best thing about it is you get swipe-like trace on HTC, so you can quickly drag your finger across and compose a message, which works really well. So when I was using the One X Plus, I got really used to using the swipe feature, and when I came back to the iPhone 5, it was quite slow to type on the iPhone 5 versus typing on the HTC One X Plus. So that's something definitely a little better on the One X Plus. You don't get as many keyboard options, so I can't really get a Hindi keyboard without installing a third party. It's not stock, it's not inbuilt into the device. I can get some settings, so I can get sound feedback, vibration feedback, etc. I can also get some emoticons over here, but they are nothing like the ones in emoji that are available on the iPhone 5. Let's talk about the one other thing that we have on these devices, camera. So both of these devices have similar 8 megapixel cameras with lots of features that are inbuilt into it. You have optical image stabilization in the iPhone 5 video, which works really well. And I'm going to compile a test really soon for shooting video from all cameras together, and I'm figuring out how to do that. If I can, then I'll show you that. You will notice that while capturing video on the iPhone 5, it actually steadies the video a lot. Once you press the capture button, video recording becomes really smooth. You can also turn on or off the light while recording video as well. It records full HD video at 1080p with optical image stabilization and 8 megapixel pictures. You can turn on grid or high dynamic range photography. You can also click a panorama, which works really well on the iPhone 5. You have a new style click button, which is over here. If you don't want to use the click button, you can use the volume rocker to click a quick picture and it will focus and click a picture for you. If you talk about the HTC One X Plus, you have the same 8 megapixel camera with an improved lens, is what HTC is calling it, compared to what it was on the HTC One X. You get lots of settings for the camera. You get self timer, aspect and resolution, full HD video quality settings, so you can choose from various video qualities, whereas you can only record full HD on the iPhone 5. You can set your review duration. Image adjustments, you can improve contrast, exposure, saturation, sharpness, etc. You can also change the ISO, white balance. You can also turn on continuous shooting. So once you start taking pictures on this, you can take up to 99 pictures in a single press of the button, and it's really fast. It clicks 4 frames per second. It's absolutely stunningly fast, and you will click a lot of pictures in the time that you can press the button. So you can get up to 99 pictures and then choose your favorite, or you can keep all of them as per your requirement. You have lots of camera options as well, so you can turn on touch to capture, face detection, auto smile capture, etc. You also have face detection on the iPhone 5. You also have geotagging on the iPhone 5, in case you guys are wondering. You can also turn on auto upload to your Google Plus account, or you can sync it up with Dropbox, and you can also get that on the iPhone 5. So auto upload is there. You have photo stream. You have photo stream service, which is quite nicely integrated with the iCloud ecosystem. So once you click a picture on this and you have an iPad or an iMac, it automatically shows up on those devices as well, so which is absolutely brilliant, especially for me because I have a Mac, I have an iPad, so I click a picture, it shows up on all three without me having to sync up all the time. But that service does require data, and it consumes a lot of data as well, so that is something that you guys need to be aware of. Now you get lots of third-party applications for messaging, but you don't have an inbuilt free instant messaging system like iMessage on the iPhone. So iMessage is like WhatsApp but between iDevices. So you can iMessage a Mac, you can iMessage an iPad, an iPhone or an iPod directly from the iPhone. You can also initiate FaceTime calls with any iDevice that has a front-facing camera. On the HTC One X, you can create Skype calls, but you don't have a dedicated service for making video calls, and the infrastructure is not as solid as it is for the iPhone infrastructure. FaceTime works really well, even with the kind of internet network capabilities we have in India. Apple has also enabled FaceTime over 3G for the iPhone 4S and the iPhone 5 on iOS 6. So if you want to make FaceTime calls on the go, you can do that with your iPhone now. Let's talk about browsers. Now for Safari, we've already done a test. You can quickly open up Igyaan on Safari, and I will quickly open up Igyaan on the HTC default browser as well. Now both of them are connected to Wi-Fi. You'll see that the One X Plus's browser is much more faster when compared to the Safari on the iPhone 5. It's already done loading, and the iPhone 5 has just finished. So in terms of browser rendering, the iPhone 5's basic Safari is slightly slower, but in terms of smoothness, I feel that both of them are at par. When we are loading full websites, you'll see that both of them are more or less at par, but the One X Plus is slightly faster. As you can see, it's already done loading. You also have kinetic scrolling and pinching and zooming in, whereas the iPhone 5 is still struggling to get the final image for finishing this render. So now it's done rendering. But again, you will notice that there is a slight of jitter when we are scrolling through the pages on the One X Plus. It's not as smooth as you would get on the iPhone 5. I can't really get that experience on the One X Plus, and that's just simply something that really seems to annoy me. We have quad-core hardware, we have lots of RAM, we have a great GPU. Basic things like scrolling in the browser are not as smooth as they are, for example, on the iPhone 5, which is something that truly disappoints me. You have a very smooth experience, I'm not denying that, but when you compare it next to the iPhone 5, it just seems a bit slower. If you use it as it is, you will not experience the fact that it's slow, or you will not be able to complain about it. But if you compare it with something that is a bit faster, you will definitely see the difference. Now with the iPhone 5, again, pinching and zooming in is also like super smooth. Panning around is smooth. You can go in, move around, pan around, move up or down. Everything works great. I accidentally pressed the button. Let me quickly load up the site again. But you can definitely see how fast it loads up the website. It's really smooth. There's also one thing that I really appreciate in an HTC browser is the reflow of text. So if you're reading an article, everything just fits into the screen. Whereas in the iPhone 5, you have to constantly move left or right, which is something that Apple could have really worked on, but they haven't been able to do that. On the One X Plus, you don't have to constantly go left or right, but scrolling and panning is fairly smooth on the device. Now, of course, you can get tabs on both these browsers. Let me quickly show you that. So almost similar in terms of tabs. If I open a new tab and I press tabs again, you get a page sort of layout. Similarly with the iPhone, you get a page sort of layout. You can quickly press the X icon on both these devices to quit your open tabs, and you can quickly switch from tabs as well. So that's a quick look at the browsers. Of course, you get landscape mode in both the browsers, orientation sensors, accelerometers, whatever you like to call them, work absolutely well, no problem whatsoever. Both browsers will not play Flash content, and that's simply because this one is running Android 4.1.1 Jelly Bean, and iOS never had Flash content. So you have HTML5 in both of them, that works great. Videos over YouTube, and most video sites now have HTML5, so that's not a problem. If you do need Flash content, you'll have to find some third-party browser that changes Flash and renders it on the devices. Skyfire works on the iPhone 5. Maybe it works on Android as well. I've never really tried it out, but I'm sure there are some third-party applications. Now, if we talk about the home screen over here, you will see that you have a widget sort of layout. Again, we have customizable home screens over here. If I hold down on the screen, you can see that we have customizable home screens over here. I can add widgets to the screen. I can also add wallpapers and applications. So if I want to create application shortcuts, I can just simply hold and drop an application into my home screen, and it shows up on the home screen as well. If I pinch in, I have my panels show up for quick navigation, so I can quickly jump from one panel to another. I can also add up to 7 panels on this, and it makes it a lot more easier and a lot more customizable for the Android experience. If you don't want panels, you can delete panels as well. Simply pick and drag them into the remove tab at the top, and you'll be able to remove panels. So that's the home screen interface on the iPhone 5. Again, you have lots of home screens that you can have apps on, but that's about it. You don't have any widgets like the weather widget, a quick favorites widget. You don't have a toggle. This is something that Apple should have really done. It's really annoying to jump into settings and then find Wi-Fi and then be able to turn on or off Wi-Fi, whereas you can quickly do that from the home screen on the One X Plus or any other Android device for that matter. So this is something that's nice. You can see I get a quick stock update on the front page Again, with the widget, with this I can get stock updates. With this I can get stock updates in my notification panel, which I can quickly pull from the top over here. Again, this is something which is available on the One X Plus as well. We have a notification panel. It gives you a quick look at weather as well over here. I can also install the weather widget on the iPhone 5. So that's great. Earlier, HTC used to have the quick launch for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, etc. on the notification panel, but HTC has removed that and now only has that as a widget which is available here. But I'm sure there is some third-party application that you can install that will give you a widget in the notification panel for HTC as well. Now HTC also gives you a lot of personalization options for the screen, so you can quickly change the scene, change the whole overall outlook of the device. Like I said, there are lots of lock screen styles. You can change it from productivity, which gives you weather and stock updates. You can also change it to a photo album. You can change it to friend streams, so updates from friends, weather information, a quick dialer for people. You also have clock and stocks. You also have a music player. So lots and lots of information in the lock screen can be had from the HTC One X. So lots of personalization options. You don't have any of those for the iPhone 5. Like I said, you can quickly create folders on the iPhone 5, and that's the only bit of customization that you can do. So for all your games, you can put them in a folder and call it a games folder. You can also create folders on the One X Plus. As you can see over here, you can customize the name fairly easily. So in terms of customization, definitely the HTC One X Plus offers more for customization. If you look at all apps, you get a similar grid style list of all applications over here. Again, you can sort this in an order that you want, alphabetically, date, most recent or oldest, and you can also pick and drop an application into the home screen from here as well. So that's a bit of the interface. Android offers you definitely a lot more customizability. You can have live wallpapers in the background, moving images, lots of fun stuff can be done with Android, whereas you have just a stock wallpaper on the iPhone 5. The last thing I'm going to talk about is something which is at par with both the devices, and we are talking about Siri versus Google now on both these devices. So the best thing about it is that Google has now started navigation in India, and Google now supports that. So if I want to navigate to some place in Delhi, I can search for it on Google now, and it will give me directions as well, whereas iPhone 5 still is unable to do that. So let's give it a quick test and see how well both of them recognize my voice. What's the weather like?
Looks like nice weather coming up through Tuesday. Up to 26 degrees and sunny.
So you can see we get a card style layout for the HTC for the iPhone 5 in Siri. In the HTC One X Plus, Google now also integrates cards, but they have taken it a step further and it looks really nice. Let me test it out. What is the weather like? You do get voice feedback most of the time, but somehow it stopped working on my device. Maybe I need to do a factory reset. Maybe I've turned some settings on or off somewhere, but Google now is not giving me voice feedback, although I do have it turned on. So if you go into the Google Now settings panel, you will see that I do have voice feedback turned on. Speech output is turned on, but it's not giving me any speech output, unfortunately. What is the weather like? So you do get that card information over here, and you also get voice feedback. I don't know why it's not working on my particular device, but it was working earlier. Even in the unboxing video, I think it was giving me a voice feedback. But let's look at some of the other questions that we can ask. How much is $400 in Indian rupees?
Checking my sources. Okay, Barad, here you go.
So you can see my question was how much is $400 in Indian rupees, and it gives you a conversion of 400 Singapore dollars because that's the place I visited last. So it's kind of stuck in Singapore. But I can ask how much is 400 US dollars in Indian rupees, and it'll give me that. I can show you that again. How much is 400 US dollars in Indian rupees?
Checking my sources. I found this.
As you can see, it quickly converts 400 US dollars, which turns out to 22,010 rupees, and it gives me that information. It also gives me conversion into several other formats, which is Mexican pesos, Canadian dollars, Chinese yuan, British pounds, euros, and Japanese yen, etc. If I do the same thing for Google now, how much is 400 US dollars in Indian rupees? So as you can see, it doesn't really understand what I was asking. It actually converted $1 US into Indian rupees, and my question is clearly visible for Google search as well, 400 US dollars in Indian rupees, but it gives me just $1 US. Let me try this again. US dollar 400 in Indian rupees. And now it is converted 400 US dollars in Indian rupees. So you have to really be specific with Google now, whereas you can just ask a question with Siri. Let me also ask one more question. Who invented the smartphone?
Checking on that. Would you like me to search the web for who invented the smart?
So in case of Siri, my question was not heard correct, but I can make some changes as well here. So if I quickly tap on the changes, it will make that change and then give me an answer.
Let me check on that. Would you like me to search the web who invented the smartphone?
So if it doesn't have an answer in Wolfram Alpha and Wikipedia, it'll just do a web search. But Google now, in such a manner, is slightly better. Who invented the smartphone? So in Google now, you don't have to search the web because it directly searches the web either way. So despite giving you the information that you need, you get a web result as well. Let me now do a navigation question. Navigate me to the Taj Mahal.
Sorry, Barad. I can't provide maps and directions in India.
Now, I am not saying Taj Mahal as I would normally because the voice recognition doesn't work for that. Navigate to Taj Mahal. And you get navigation instructions along with voice guided navigation in Google, which is absolutely brilliant, works really well. Let me quickly accept this term, and it gives you gets my location, and it gives me navigation instructions with route, using the GPS, using 3G, and I get voice guided instructions. So this works really well on Google now, whereas it doesn't work on Siri. Last thing that I want to show you is places to eat nearby. And you will see that if I'm quickly searching for something, it completely doesn't understand what I'm asking it, and it jumps to something else. Whereas in Siri, places to eat nearby. Of course, eating joints.
Sorry, Barad. I can't look for restaurants in India.
Again, like I said, eating joints are not available on Siri for India, but they are available in the US and UK. But the fact that it understands the accent and understands it at the speed that I speak is what makes Siri slightly better than Google Now. But the fact that Google Now works completely in India is what makes Google Now better than Siri for us at least. Let me quickly try this one more time. Places to eat nearby. Now, if I do that, now it shows me a couple of restaurants that I can eat food at nearby. In Google Now, anyway, you get places to eat nearby. If I just quickly jump into Google and not press the mic button, I get my weather. If I press on show more cards, it'll give me close by restaurants as well at the bottom. So you can see a couple of restaurants that show up at the bottom. So there you go, guys. This was a quick look at the differences between the HTC One X Plus and the iPhone 5. Of course, this video can go on forever and I can talk about several things that are different on both the devices, but this gives you a quick look at both these devices. Now, of course, I'm going to be making a gaming video on both these devices as well, so you'll be able to look at the gaming performance. I'm going to try and find similar games for this, for the One X Plus, for the Windows Phone 8X as well. If you guys have any other questions or queries, do leave them in the comment section below or on Facebook, Twitter, Google+. You can check out more details on Igyaan.in, and do subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/Igyaan, youtube.com/IgyaanTV. And until I see you next time, guys, this is Bharat Nagpal. Thank you.